everyone, it is that time you have all been waiting for. Evidence has been gathered, motives will be analysed, alibis noted. It's now time for Hollyoaks Who Killed Amy? Suspects Live! It's time for you, the fans, to pass judgment and decide who is responsible for the murder of Amy Barnes. Exactly. One of our 5 suspects is the killer, but who do you think it could be? We've taken in all your comments, all your tweets, all your ideas about hashtag Hollyoaks Who Killed Amy, and you've picked up on a lot. It is a live show. I have my iPad. I'm looking at all your comments throughout, so keep them coming. We want you to be involved in the show. So, let's put your findings to the test, and maybe you'll change your mind by the end of the show. But who have we got on the show defending their characters? We have 3 of our suspects. Kieran Richardson, Andrew Hayden-Smith, who of course plays Steve, Harry, and Nasty Armstrong. It's in the script. You are quite nasty.
Oh.
Duncan James is currently on his holidays, and Greg Finnegan is currently on set filming. So they are not live, but do not worry, because they will be having their say.
But are they really on holiday, or is it because they don't work here anymore because they're the killer?
That is what we're going to try and find out. How are you feeling in the green room? Are you feeling nervous about defending your characters?
Just very aware of my mouth and saying something that I shouldn't.
I mean, you look, especially you look very relaxed.
I'm very chill. I didn't do it. I don't need to be nervous.
I feel like you should be. You're about to get seriously interrogated.
Oh.
What I want to know is, who is the best at lying?
Well, we're all actors, so hopefully we're all pretty good.
So who is the best actor?
Oh, okay.
Well, let you decide.
Well, technically you already failed that hurdle because you're not meant to be lying, because you're telling the truth, because you didn't kill Amy.
Wasn't me.
Okay, so we're going to be chatting to you in a bit, so prepare yourselves to be interrogated. But to deliver your verdict on who you think the killer is, I want you to vote using the Facebook reactions. So, on screen, right here, you will see all the Facebook emoji and which one matches each character. And Kieran, I think you should explain which one is which and why.
Mine is the thumbs up because everybody loves Steve. Then you've got the angry eyebrows, which is confusion because everybody's confused by Gavin Armstrong. You've got the hearts for Harry because everybody loves Harry. Then you've got the laughing emoji because sometimes Duncan makes us lol. And then you've got this shock face for James because he's always delivering shockers in the show.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And yeah, so we want you to decide who killed Amy. You can vote now. If you change your mind, you just go back to the reactions and change it. And by the end of the show, we will know who you think killed Amy Barnes.
Ooh.
Exactly. So you've already been voting on Instagram who you think. My note says the winner is, but it's not really a winner, is it? It's the murderer. And at the moment, how's it looking? It's looking like you, Armstrong.
Is it?
Yeah.
Honestly, they're not stupid.
But
they're a clever audience.
What we want to know is, will it change by the end of the show?
Yeah, I'm going to try and change their minds.
So keep your comments and questions coming in because I do need your help. And yeah, we're going to speak to you guys in a minute. But first, let's have a look at the trial week trailer.
Whoa. Motives are such complex things these days.
Thank you so much for coming.
Me and Steve are this close to being over forever. And he's not even trying to fix it because he's too worried about you taking his kids away.
I cannot live in this village anymore with him.
Tell myself I didn't know any better.
You're running off with Steve's kids. That's why you fought. But struggle, fall, that was just an accident. Heat of the moment thing.
Lost inside of madness, this is disarray.
We need to leave.
I get joy by that.
So you really are all on your own.
So can I just say, when you watch soaps and stuff and it's like big massive whodunits, normally they're like, yeah, we filmed multiple endings, and you think, whatever. We genuinely have filmed multiple endings.
Do you know what's funny? Because, hang on, Victoria Ingram got in touch to say, this is going to be good because Kieran can't hold his tongue about plot lines. And you basically just proved it already.
Never tell Kieran any of his secrets.
Daniel Fitzpatrick says, I reckon it's Harry, as he's the only one of the suspects that hasn't been suspected.
That's a bit savage.
There we go. That's kind of like I'm confused by that, but already. Debbie says, Harry killed Amy, I reckon. Soz Harry. And Natty says, I think it's either James or DS Armstrong. So already a little bit of a mixed reaction, so keep the comments coming in. But we do have you here to defend your characters for the final time. Are you feeling nervous?
Yeah,
I've got nothing to be nervous
I feel like you
about.
should be nervous.
Everyone thinks it's me. That's making me nervous as it is.
So in this live show, it's your last chance to help get your character off. But before we look at the ins and outs of the night of the murder, we're going to have a look at the intents. So it's time to talk character motives. We've obviously just seen the trailer for the trial week with various possible murder scenarios all cut together, and we're going to be looking at those scenes individually in more detail soon. And these scenarios have all been constructed using suggestions from you guys, the fans. And of course, we've already seen part of the Eve in its actuality, but maybe Steve's blockouts make us a little bit unsure of it. So Kieran, Steve is currently on trial for the murder of Amy. Why him?
Well, people think it's him because of the initial night when he couldn't answer where he'd been because of the blackouts. A little bit later on, I'll tell you what happened during those blackouts.
Building some suspense.
Yes,
I like
but I feel like that is my get out of jail card. Is what happened during the blackouts? Did he commit a murder? Absolutely. No, he didn't. I don't even need to defend myself that much because if you go off the online reaction, nobody thinks it's Steve.
Okay, well, but in the beginning, Steve was convinced that he did kill Amy. So
yeah,
why was he so sure at the beginning?
Because he did remember having an argument with her because she was taking his children to America. Now, everybody knows Steve loves his kids and would do anything for them. And the fact that they were so happy that day on the wedding, he thought, you know, one happy family, she's got a new husband, the kids are going to live in the village, live happily ever after. Then he finds out that she's taking him to America. So yeah, he did have a motive because that's his kids and they're being taken away from him. But the fact that he remembered how he'd got blood on his hands, he cut his hand on the glass with the picture that was smashed in the argument, not because he'd killed her. So it wasn't Amy's blood, it was Steve's blood. So
he was sure he killed Amy and then he was sure he didn't. Boys, what do you think about that?
It's all a bit of a mess, really.
I hope you defend Steve.
I mean, I really don't want it to be Steve, but I can see why people might think it would be.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping for your opinion on Steve as opposed to just an acknowledgement of, yeah, it's all a mess. Yeah. Correct. Do you think it was Steve?
I don't think it was, but I can see why people would think that it was him.
Yeah, Armstrong's had it in for Steve from really early on as well. He was the one that interrogated him. He didn't have an alibi. He couldn't remember, so I think he's an easy target for Armstrong.
Well, I was going to say, I'm glad you've chipped up because I think it's fair to say that DS Armstrong might have had influence over Steve and his guilty plea at the beginning. So why is he so tied up in Amy's murder?
Well, conveniently, he was the first person at the scene of the crime, consoling Ryan. He was interrogating Steve. So yeah, he is caught up in the whole thing.
Why was you putting the false memories in his head?
Yeah, exactly.
Why was you? Well, not you, but why was DS Armstrong trying to set up Steve?
Because he wants to. Well, he wasn't necessarily setting him up. He wants to get his guy, and maybe he thought that.
I fast track it.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
I love that they're already having a good debate. It's good.
Wrong.
But is it fair to say that maybe Armstrong was keen to shift the blame onto someone else, and Steve was an easy target?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, Armstrong's got a history of stalking and, he goes after blonde, blue-eyed women. Be careful, Ashley.
I know, I was going to say I need to...
But is he capable of murder?
Yes.
That's what we want to know.
I'm not sure.
What reason would Armstrong have for killing Amy?
I don't know, maybe
She probably found out what he was up to.
Yeah, and she was gonna blab about it. I don't know.
Maybe she didn't. What if she doesn't fancy you back? Or she doesn't fancy Armstrong back?
Yeah, he really does not like it when girls don't fancy him back. Yeah.
Well, we've been looking at your tweets, your comments, and also your theories, and based on that, we have put together potential scenarios for each suspect. So let's have a look at Armstrong's.
So you really are all on your own?
How do you mean?
Just a figure of speech. You've been abandoned in your overneed. Why don't you tell me what happened?
You should have seen him. He was like dead behind the eyes. Like he wasn't really the... You know, they were all glazed over like he'd been drinking or taking something.
Do you think he was on drugs?
I don't know. But he was wired and panicked and there was all sweat on his forehead and he was just shouting at me. Screaming in my face.
That must have been awful.
I know I'm doing a horrible thing. I know how much he loves those kids, but seeing him like that scares me so much.
Hey, come here.
What are you doing?
I think we both know what this is really about.
So it could be accidental murder, because by the looks of it, Armstrong was wanting something more from Amy.
Yeah, and because she was saying no, then that could have sent him over the edge, but...
It did send him over the edge.
No!
I'm having a look at your comments, and Nikki says, I wouldn't be surprised if it's none of them and it's someone totally unexpected, but I can confirm it is one of the five.
One of the five. It wouldn't cheat you like that.
Tasha says, but Armstrong has something for Cindy. She isn't blonde and blue-eyed.
Ooh.
Blonde.
I would blonde. We'll
Yeah.
go with blonde, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe not blue eyes, but definitely blonde.
She's got blue eyes. Sorry.
Okay, we've got looking at pictures. Right, I'm going to come back to your comments later, but we have a lot to go through with this. So, like you said, he does have a history of stalking pretty blondes, whatever the eye colour. So did he just want Amy for himself?
Yeah, I think so. You know, when he sees a girl and he decides that they're his target, he really goes for them, and then I don't know why he has this. He goes about it the wrong way. If he fancies someone, he should just ask them out, and maybe it could all be a bit different.
He's a sociopath.
Yeah, he is.
He's a weirdo.
He is crazy.
Well, we know from evidence that he is a bit of a weirdo, and we've seen obviously his stalking tendencies, but we also know that he has been violent in the past. He nearly killed Zach when he pushed him down the stairs. So he is capable of being violent. What do you two think?
Sorry, can I just say, will you
Please do.
stop shaking your leg, please? Are you nervous?
Armstrong over here.
Are you nervous?
I'm angry. Okay. He threw my best mate.
I'm sat here like
this. That could have been murder. Can we just pretend that? Like, can we not pretend that's not?
I was just trying to
almost
scare
murder?
him. Just trying to scare him. That's
By
all.
throwing him down 2 sets of concrete stairs.
Yeah, I see your point.
Okay.
Well, let's move on to our second copper suspect, Ryan. So, could Ryan kill his newly wedded wife? Let's have a look at the video construction of what might have happened based on your guys' suggestions.
Is he gone? Steve? Did he kick off?
No. Well, sort of. It doesn't matter.
Amy, what happened? Did he hurt you?
No.
Amy, tell me, because I'm going to go find him now.
Wait, I can't go to America. Taking the kids, the job, moving over there. I can't do it. I'm so sorry. I want to go. I do, and I know the kids love it.
Hey, Steve.
He's the dad, right?
Yeah, and what am I? And what was today all about? Getting married and becoming a family? No, and before you say I can have the ear, because we can't. I cannot live in this village anymore with him.
I mean, he does look very angry, so did he kill her? As I said earlier, Duncan and Greg can't be here, so I have enlisted the help of my private investigator, Jess Ellis. So I sent her out to interrogate Duncan James and find out Ryan's motives. Jess, are you there?
Thank you, Ashley. Right, we've just seen what the fans thought, so now I'm going to interrogate Duncan James about Ryan's innocence. So, Duncan, what do you think about what you've just seen? that is a scenario that the fans have suggested. I mean, do you, as Duncan, think that Ryan is capable of Amy's murder?
Look, Ryan absolutely loved his missus, yeah. Let's not get anything twisted here. He wanted to move to America with her, he wanted to start a new life with her.
But he'd also had quite a few affairs, though.
No, he had a little snog with Jen Metcalf's character.
Yeah.
And he also had a little snog with Kyle, who was played by Adam Rickett, but, you know...
But he really loved her.
But he really loved her.
Okay.
Yeah.
He does lose his temper quite a lot. We've seen him switch from Mr. Nice Guy. Do you think, you know, just that mist of red went through and then he... gone. She's dead.
Yeah, but what would his motive be to kill her, though?
Well, you tell me.
Just because he was angry? I mean, I don't think that's a motive to
Well, I think I'd beg to differ. A lot of people have been killed out of anger.
Well, I honestly don't think that Ryan would actually, you know, first of all, physically harm his wife because he loved her. It was his missus, you know. He was in love with her. He just got married to her. It was the happiest day of his life, and all of a sudden, do you know what I mean? He finds out that his missus is dead, and he was devastated. He was just really heartbroken. Who
do you think is pointing the finger at Ryan for Amy's death?
Well, I just think personally, as Duncan, that James was, you know, trying to maybe set up Ryan. But I also think that Armstrong, he's a bit of a dodgy one as well.
Classic again, you just set someone else up.
Yeah, but I see
where you're going with this.
The facts here, Jess.
Okay.
Armstrong was all of a sudden sniffing around, wasn't he, when he found Amy's death? We all know he liked to stalk a little blonde.
Ouch, Andrew. So Duncan is deflecting onto Armstrong. You guys are quite mixed. Rhonda's saying it's not James, he just wanted to stay out the way. Jen English says it's defo Harry, who'd do anything to protect Steve. Debbie says, nah, I don't think Ryan would kill her. Laura says, I think it's James, the ringtone, the planting of evidence. We're going to go on to evidence in a little bit. Marcus says, I think it's Harry. He's shown he will do anything to make Steve happy. Again, a lot of people saying that. Yeah, mixed reactions. So.
But a lot of people saying Harry. Quite a lot there.
For weird
reasons. Maybe you shouldn't be so relaxed, Harry. So Duncan doesn't think anger is a good enough motive to kill. So what else could his motive be?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe she found out one of his secrets, or you know.
Well, he's definitely got. He's been aggressive before because he's beat Steve up, so
yeah,
he can get angry. So I don't believe that. He's a good actor, but he's not that good. And it's too easy to deflect it back onto Armstrong.
I can't believe he's dropped me in it like that.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he?
Finish, Duncan.
Kevin, I feel like you're actually genuinely taking things personally.
Well, yeah, because my character Steve didn't do it, so I've got nothing to worry about. But she was one of the loves of his life and the mother of his children, so I would like to know who did kill Amy. Can you tell me?
That's what the fans are for. They're gonna tell you at the end. Okay, so Duncan touched on James setting Ryan up, but what does he really know about being set up, right? Because obviously Steve gets set up a lot by James. Steve has been in the, through the mill about being set up, so does James hate Steve?
James massively hates Steve, and I think we all know why. It's because he slept with John Paul, who James absolutely idolised John Paul, in my opinion. And then when he found out that they'd slept together, even there was a point when John Paul and Steve were sleeping with each other, James came back, so Steve had to hide under the bed naked. It was all a bit too intense at that point. So then James pretended that he'd kidnapped Steve, put him in the boot of a car, and then threw the car over the cliff. That's quite a psychotic thing to do. So if he's capable enough to do that, what else is he capable of?
Well, let's find out what James's motive is.
What are you doing?
See, I hate to be disturbed when I'm working.
You know Ryan's gonna be back in a minute.
Or do hope not. Wouldn't want his DNA confusing things.
DNA?
So you're running off with Steve's kids. That's why you fought. But struggle, the fall, that was just an accident. Heat of the moment thing. I think a jury would buy that.
What?
So, according to you guys, James' scenario is the only premeditated killing, but is he really that sinister? I know you just said that he is, but what does Greg think? Well, let's go back to my private investigator, Ellis, who's with Greg, and see what he thinks.
She's brilliant.
Jess?
Thank you, Ashley. Okay, I am going to be grilling Greg on why James didn't commit the murder of Amy Barnes. And listen, I take no prisoners. So, our fans have decided that James has committed cold, calculated murder. I mean, what do you think? Is it James's style?
Haven't seen that. Yeah.
Okay, case solved.
Yep, done. No, I don't think it is. I think he's less impulsive than that.
Really?
Yes, I think so.
You think James is less impulsive than that?
I think he's quite methodical in his approach to these things.
Well, the thing is, though, James does hate Steve.
Does he hate him?
Does he hate him? He did a lot of things to frame Steve, no?
Well, I think he would argue that Steve had committed the murder and that he wasn't framing him as much as shoring up the evidence.
Yeah, but come on, James has got a bit of background here. James doesn't like him because of the John Paul thing.
That's true, that's true. Like if someone was going to do a hatchet job on somebody else and come up with a master plan, then it would probably be James.
Oh, yeah, you're just playing into my hands here, I mean.
Yeah. But he didn't do it.
He didn't do it, okay.
Okay, so Greg is saying that James does have it in him to kill, but he'd be more methodical than that. You guys are saying, Carmen says, James actually looked very convincing there. Josh said, James is trying to be the villain, but I think it's a little too obvious. A lot of you are actually saying it might be two people. So Donna says, I think it's James and DS Armstrong together.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That would be good.
Clara says, I don't want it to be Harry. Exactly. So Harry's obviously close to James. Could James... Look, you're trying to defend yourself. Could James' motive be jealousy, do you think? Do you think he just wants Harry to himself?
Yes, does he want him to himself? Hey? What happened that night? Was it just a kiss?
Just a kiss. Just a kiss. That's it.
Because when I was watching it a couple of weeks ago, I think it seemed it was a bit more than just a kiss.
So look, he's angry at him more than anything, and he does have a soft spot for Harry. And would he kill someone to have Harry to himself?
And he's saying he'd be more methodical, is that the right word, than that?
Yeah.
Well, my trainers, or Steve's trainers, were the ones that was used, so that's methodical by putting on different trainers and then getting rid of the evidence, because I saw that on telly as well. So I think that was quite calculated and methodical.
He's talking about the DNA and stuff and planning it out, so he's very calculated.
We are going to get on to the evidence later, but let's move on to Harry's motive. Obviously, he is Steve's #1 supporter. He was risking losing his kids, so could it be him?
Look.
Come on.
I'm here for this. Come on. He was angry. Obviously, the kids are being taken away. But it's Harry. He's not going to kill someone over it. He'll get mad, and him and Amy did like crash heads a lot. But you know, he likes Leah and Lucas. I say, like, loves them as his own kids. He's not going to kill their mum. You know, he's just angry. He'll have an argument, then he'll go.
Well, let's have a look what you guys at home think is his motive.
Me and Steve are this close to being over forever. And he's not even trying to fix it because he's too worried about you taking his kids away.
Steve cheats on you, and yet somehow it's my fault you're breaking up.
We were happy before you took Leah and Lucas away from him.
Was that when you were homeless? You're kidding yourself, Harry. Your relationship was broken long before
That is not true. Yes, me and Steve had our problems, but we fixed them together. You are why we are broken. You and Ryan.
So another angry accident, but does Harry Thompson have it in him to be violent? Because, let's have a look. Orla says, I don't think Harry would kill someone.
Yes.
Although Anirai, sorry if I've said that name wrong, said, I think Harry looks like he's guilty.
Whoa! Looking at him there, I'd say he was capable of it.
No, he's a drama queen. That's what it is. Okay, he likes to make a big fuss about anything, but he's never. When has he ever been violent to anyone in the show? Never. He confronted. I know he had a fight with the bully ages ago, but that was.
What I want to put out there is, if Harry had done it, don't you think he might have come forward by now? Because obviously he's Steve's #1 fan.
Yeah, let's all hope that it isn't Harry, because if he loved Steve that much, why would he let him go to prison? And also, it's the children. Got to think about the kids. And like we say, Steve does everything for his kids. He's like Peter Andre, loves his kids so much. Then why would he take away the mother and the father of those children? Answer me that. Yeah, I hope so.
Okay, but you had to go to prison because there was nothing else there. Everyone thinks it's you. But so
nobody thinks it's Steve. Nobody thinks.
Well, obviously
it's
someone does because he's in prison.
And you're the most likely suspect, but I know Harry knows it wasn't you.
Okay.
Well, after all those scenarios and hearing the potential motives, I want to know who each of you think committed Amy's murder.
I think I'm going to go with James, you know.
Okay.
Because it's the only...
You can just say what. You can just say the name.
Okay,
Just say the name.
Armstrong.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the lady that tweeted in and say it was a double. There's a duo working
And
together.
which duo do you think?
And I would say Armstrong, sorry, and maybe two police officers together.
Okay, so quite an interesting response.
Why though?
And well, we'll get.
I'm just
we'll
saying
get into
it.
that. We'll get into that.
Okay.
Speaking of interesting, my private investigator Jess Ellis has been doing a little bit of digging, and it is time for my favourite part of the show, a herd at Hollyoaks. So let's find out what gossip she has found out.
Hi guys, this is P.I. Ellis reporting from Hollyoaks Makeup Room with Herd at Hollyoaks. Now guys, this is about Kieran Richardson. And guess what? Kieran Richardson cannot walk past a mirror without checking his hair. I once went on holiday with him and he wouldn't go out until his hair was perfect. It's twiddling here, twiddling there. And guess what, Kieran? It looks the same, mate. Give up. What are you doing, Kieran?
Checking my hair.
Kieran, what are you doing?
Just checking my hair. Is that okay?
It looks the same, mate.
That bit doesn't there though, does it? What's this going on?
What are you doing, Kieran?
Just looking at pictures of my hair.
Kieran, what are you doing? Oh my god! Back to you.
Would you like me to put this on reflective mode so you can just check your hair out now?
I knew she was up to something. Yeah, I do check my hair quite a lot. I don't know why.
It looks great.
Does it look okay?
I think it looks
Yeah,
great.
Thank you.
I'm just going to let you know that according to comments, a lot of people are saying it's Harry. Let's have a look. So Gabrielle says, Harry did it straight up. He's guilty, but he didn't mean it. Debbie says Harry knows it wasn't Steve because it was Harry. And Beth said Harry and Steve are so cute together and they're the best couple ever.
Thank you.
Okay.
Like this dark situation, that's a nice thing to hear.
Let's move on to the next part of the show, which is the alibis. So, what is an alibi, I hear you ask? I have the official definition, which is, quote, a claim that one was elsewhere when an act, typically a criminal one, is alleged to have taken place. So the only person with a full alibi out of the 5 suspects is James, but he is a lawyer, so he's smart. And from the looks on your guys' faces, you think he might not be smart. But let's go back to Jess and Greg to see how strong his alibi really is.
Right. It's time for the alibis.
Alibi.
Could you tell me some of the reasons why you think he didn't do it?
Well, he has a great alibi.
What's one of his alibis?
He was engaging in love play with Harry Thompson.
So his alibi is that he was engaging in love play. Being what?
They had a bit of a kiss and spent some time together.
What do you think James's reaction would be to Harry denying this alibi?
I think he would be very disappointed in Harry, but he would expect it because he doesn't want Steve to find out.
See, this is what's making me think it's James, because he's in love with Harry and basically he wants to get Steve in prison so he can have him all for himself.
He's not in love with Harry.
I think so.
He has a nice, relationship with him. He cares about him, but he's not in love with him.
Okay, there is a lot to talk about there. Let's start with the fact that Harry was with James all night. Harry, do you care to explain?
Not all night. Yes, I
Kieran,
went there.
you look really interested.
When's this going to come out?
Look, I went there. Harry, sorry, went there. I get mixed up.
So
he kissed him.
Harry would do anything for Steve. He loves him so
Let's
much.
remember,
but yeah,
on that night, I just found out that you were cheating on me with John Paul, and you were going to end up with him if he didn't leave. So Harry just kissed James, came out, saw Steve. Steve was like dead mean to him,
rude.
savage.
Yeah.
And so Harry went for another drink. He was depressed.
Okay, so can anyone corroborate Harry's story? Was he alone at any point?
Yes, when I left. When I left the bar, I had to walk home and I was talking to my dad.
Why was you crying in that scene then? Why did you have tears in your eyes when Tony rang you?
Alright, I was upset.
So, during the walk, did he maybe find himself at Amy Bond's flat?
Of course he didn't know, because the direction is the opposite way.
Okay, so you are putting Harry in a little bit of a tricky situation here, though. Why don't you just admit that he was with James?
Because he wasn't. You know, he was with him for a tiny bit.
And Harry doesn't tell lies?
He doesn't need to. Telling the truth, yeah.
Do you tell the truth?
Not all the time. But everyone tells a little white lie every now and then. Or
So,
do they?
why would Greg say that James was with Harry all night if he wasn't? Is he faking an alibi?
He is probably looking out, knowing him. He's, you know, he is a bit villainous, but he does have a soft spot for Harry, so he's probably looking out for both of us and giving us both alibis by saying I was over there.
Why have you been leading him on?
Because he's rich.
Andrew, you're being very quiet, so what do you think about what Greg's saying? Is he lying?
Armstrong and James can be quite similar, I think. They're like both quite calculated and they've come up against each other quite a lot. So I know he's just as sneaky as Armstrong, and I think he could definitely be guilty of it.
Well, speaking of sneaky Armstrong, what was he up to that night? I'd like to know his alibi.
Oh, he was definitely having a Domino's at home and watching a film.
What film?
Oh, I can't remember actually.
Was it maybe like It Follows?
Or How to Get Away with Murder.
Legally Blonde?
Yeah, possibly.
Surely he would. Surely he would remember. Thank you. Surely he would remember what film he was watching.
Yeah, I suppose so.
But is that really what happened? Because our fans have been in touch and say they remember that Armstrong was being particularly stalkery that night, and he followed Leela and Tegan home. So are you lying for Armstrong right now?
Well, yeah, that was around about the time when he had his sights on Leela. So that night, yeah, he probably was spying on Leela.
And is that fair to say that he was alone at this time, or can somebody confirm Armstrong's whereabouts?
I think, yeah, he was alone. But just because he was a stalker doesn't mean he was a murderer.
Okay, but we can establish that he was up to no good and probably something illegal, so he should probably be locked up anyway.
Yeah. He's a bad one anyway.
Okay, but he obviously isn't the only one that was misbehaving that night. And Kieran, we're going to get on to Steve in a minute. Yes. But first, what was Ryan Knight doing? Because we believe that he was doing the dirty on Amy. At least that's what he's saying back to Jess.
So, Duncan.
Yes.
The time has come for your alibi. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So, I'm just going to get down to the nitty-gritty.
Get down to the nitty-gritty.
Where was Ryan on the night of Amy's murder?
First of all, Ryan ended up in the loft.
Okay, can anyone, just before you go on further, can anyone confirm that you were in the loft? Who was there with you?
Yes, Mike was with Ryan in the loft because he saw him there, and Ryan was going to give Mike a lift home. But I don't know if anybody picked this up. Ryan's shirt was untucked, which was meaning that before he got to the loft, he was behind the bike sheds doing a little bit of hanky-panky with a character called Kyle.
Okay, so can I just go back to the fact that you said earlier before that you really loved your wife and you'd do anything?
Yeah.
You're saying that the day you got married to them, then you got off with someone
because
then?
He was really frustrated because Steve turned up at the flat. So then he
Obviously,
went
when you
off
got
in his
married.
frustration. He went to the bike sheds, found Kyle.
And in his frustration, he killed her.
No, he went to the bike sheds with his just frustration.
Okay, so according to Ryan, Kyle is his alibi, but did any of you guys notice whether his shirt was tucked in or tucked out? Just comment and let me know. Let's have a look at some of your comments. Imogen says, I think it was James and Harry done it because R.
His what?
Just because R. Oh. Julia says, Perry seems a bit nervous, so I guess it was Harry.
Whoa!
It must be the tapping. It's the tapping.
Hey.
Hallie says, I think James is in love with Steve. Kerry says, if James's alibi is that he was with Harry, then surely Harry has an alibi.
Yeah, I just said it.
Listen harder. Shawnee says, ooh, the two Ryan and Armstrong coppers would be a good twist. And Sophie says, if it was Harry, he wouldn't have let Steve go to prison for a crime he wouldn't commit.
Thank you.
Someone who still believes in love. Yeah, I'm going to come back to the comments later, so let me find where I am at. Okay, so who believes that Kyle is Ryan's alibi? Do you believe his story?
We believe that he was with him that night, only because we saw it on telly. But I felt like Duncan was quite stumbly when Jess was interrogating him then. And I feel like he was trying to cover his tracks too much.
I feel like you could be like a Sherlock Holmes.
Thank you.
He was getting very specific as well. You know when people lie, they come up with those tiny details.
And just saying like, poor Ryan, really?
We're not buying it. We're not buying it.
Well,
give the
let's
book back.
move on to someone who can't give an alibi.
Me?
Yeah, well, Steve.
Steve can. Steve's got one.
Okay.
He's just not.
What
He's
is
not
the
mentioned it yet.
So this is your chance.
So basically, the blackouts happened, and he was in the woods, and this is the allotted time that seems to be the grey area about could he have killed her? Maybe he did, maybe he didn't.
Okay.
So what happened off screen? Nobody knows this yet.
So, exclusive, guys.
He tried to ring the drug dealer or Tony. I can't remember which one it was now. They didn't answer, and then he tried to leave the woods and get back home to the comfort of Tony and Diane. And on the way back, there was a fox that got in his way, and there was a bit of a standoff, and he couldn't get past the fox because he was quite scared, and it was growling at him like, and then...
Sorry, what was the noise again?
Like, and then eventually he did get past, and then he was like, oh, I've cut my hand, I better go and get a shower. And then Tony and Diane came back, and then everybody knows what happened next.
He looked really upset in the bits that we did see.
Because of the fox.
He looked very upset.
You should have seen the size of that fox. Massive.
Steve is the one on trial for the murder, and all the evidence points for him. So wouldn't it just be easier for everyone if you just admitted that Steve killed her?
But Steve didn't do it. Steve would never. Steve has done a lot of things in the past, but well,
That's a leading question.
Did he kill his mother? It was euthanasia, but grey area. He's not capable of it. He's been angry in the past and a bit physical with Amy, but on that night, he was physical in terms of like, don't take the kids away, but not, don't take the kids away, kind of angry.
Okay, well, Bernadette says, I hope it wasn't Harry because I just want Steve and Harry to get married. Megan says, the truth is, Ryan met up with Harry as they are getting it on.
Ryan and Harry.
Oh, don't even start on that one.
But, okay, so we're done with the alibis or lack of foxy alibis. You guys, the fans, have been voting in a poll on Twitter, and that poll is to decide who you would like to take part in a lie detector test. And the votes are in, and Armstrong gets the most votes. So if you would like to get in position for the lie detector, and whilst you get ready, let's visit our acting gurus for a very special and sadly the final Acting 101.
I've seen these online, they're really cringe.
Feedback session, and it seems that we're not the only ones being lied to.
I'm Dwayne, I'm Harry, and this week's 101 is going to be a little bit different.
We are going behind the scenes of one of our 101 feedback meetings.
Oh yeah!
Let's do it!
Woo, let's go! So guys, what do you think?
I feel like they found it really useful. You've educated people, but in a really fun, you don't take it fun way. Yeah, but obviously you don't take yourself too seriously, so it's quite good because it's fun. It's all fun.
Hold on. She started.
Yeah, I know that as well. I think she's just nervous.
Sure.
Yeah, but we'll get.
So you've inspired a lot of people to really, follow their dreams and everything.
No, it's okay, so you inspired. You go on.
Yeah, it's good. Positive reaction.
Okay, sorry. That was way too high.
Why did he do
way
high?
He went up and up.
He didn't even make any sense.
Just give us a second. I think these guys are all lying.
Yeah, I believe so too.
I don't know.
They've all
showed
they all show different signs of lying.
He went.
Just like
started reaching. The other guy just started doing this. I don't even know what that was about. He was obviously exaggerating. You know what? Hold on. Okay, guys.
Yeah.
This is awkward, but we think you're all lying.
Yeah.
I don't know why you don't think you can be honest with us.
I mean, we've come here for an honest opinion, and we just feel like you each individually have shown signs of lying.
Yeah.
No.
No, because you're all.
You know what? Wait, hold on. You know what? Now we're gonna be honest, okay? Guys, this is a test, yeah? What do you think of Harry's beard?
Liar! Look, he thinks because he's got a real beard. You haven't even got a beard.
Why don't you say that, Harry? I mean, I don't even have a beard, and you're just trying to. What do you think you're better than?
You know what?
No.
Fine, we're professionals, right? We're professionals, we're keeping it real.
He insulted my beard.
You don't even have a beard. So, give us a minute.
I don't want to do more videos.
You know, we need to make the meeting positive.
That's okay. Beginning they lied to us.
Yes, I know, there's snakes. I know, but they got millions of subscribers, okay? Which means we get millions of views, that's what we need.
I don't care about subscribers, Barry.
I do, I'm cheap.
What are you doing?
Just
discussing 101 business.
1101.
And you know what, we kicked off. Unnecessary, we know, so we're sorry, but yeah, we're excited to carry it on, is what we were discussing, weren't we doing?
I'm actually going to miss those acting 101 lessons, they were amazing. But now it is time for the lie detector test. Whoa! So, Andrew, do you know how a lie detector test works?
Yeah. I just don't tell fibs.
Well, for the purpose of you and for you guys at home, I will explain.
Okay, go for it.
I'm going to ask you 3 questions.
Yeah.
I want you to answer truthfully with yes or no.
Okay.
If you are telling the truth, it will flash up green and you will hear this sound. Are we doing that?
Oh.
No? Well, there we go. Okay. That's if you're lying and that is red. And if it comes up yellow, that means the answer is inconclusive.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Do you feel nervous?
Yes.
Okay. Question number 1. Have you ever told somebody that you loved them and not meant it?
No.
Okay, that's good. Maybe you're not as horrible as I
No.
thought. Okay. Have you ever been caught with your trousers down?
No.
I definitely want to hear about that, but maybe a little bit later. And the third and final question, which is, I think, the most important and the one you guys will want to know. Is Armstrong Amy Barnes's killer?
No.
Okay, that is definitely not what I was hoping for. It is inconclusive, so...
This is broken.
That means there is something you are hiding, maybe. While we get the boys back in, let's catch up with Jess for another Heard at Hollyoaks.
This is P.I. Ellis, reporting for Heard at Hollyoaks. Now coming closer. Oh, sorry. The weather's all over the place. I'm reporting on Andrew Hayden Smith. Now, some of you may know that we live together, and Andrew is a terrible, terrible cook. I once came into him screaming to a pan of broccoli because he'd burnt the broccoli. Andrew, give up. Order takeaway. Order Domino's.
That is, I hold my hands up, that is so true. I'm the worst cook ever.
Well, luckily, you've got Domino's.
Yeah. I'll leave it up to Jess as well. She's a great cook.
I do have one more Heard at Hollyoaks for you later, but let's get back to the pressing question, and that is, who killed Amy? So let's have a look at your comments. So Caitlin, Amy and Steve forever. I presume that means they like you, not that you forever killed her. Sherry says, why would James contaminate evidence if he was innocent? And it actually was Steve. It actually wasn't Steve, free Steve. Amber says, I think Ryan Armstrong killed Amy. Steve wouldn't do that to Amy. Jaden says, and this is maybe my favourite comment, Harry needs to shave. But in other comments, both Jenna Murphy and Emily Jones said that they loved the 101.
Yeah.
So it's not all bad.
The only ones that did.
No, I really liked it. It was good. But right, we are going back to it. So we have discussed the motive. We have analysed the alibis. So next, it is, of course, the evidence. Whoa. I'm just getting distracted by these two birds.
Well, no, because he's got sweat patches, and I'm like, is that because of nerves also?
Is it evidence? Okay, so you guys at home have pinpointed some crucial pieces of evidence since the night of the murder, and it is time for me, of course, with the help of my PI Ellis, to see how solid the clues are. So the first piece of evidence I would like to present is Exhibit A. You probably were looking for that.
My book, yeah. Been after that.
So, as we know, some photos in there were destroyed, which is quite convenient for you.
Yeah.
But
obviously Ryan and James broke in and tampered with the evidence.
it is a book full of pretty blondes, so would you care to explain?
Yeah, we know that Amy's in here as well, and Armstrong did stalk Amy.
Oh, really?
But, you know, this book's just a collection of...
It's for the Hollyoaks calendar.
It's a memory book, you know, of the times that he hangs out with these blonde ladies. Just these ladies don't really know that he's there at that time.
Well, we've seen that Armstrong's been obsessed with Leela and Cindy, and we also know that he has no problem breaking into homes. Mm-hmm. So Armstrong might have known Amy was alone if he was stalking her. So, Kieran, Parry, what are your thoughts?
My theory behind it would be he had a camera that was stalking Leela. So my theory behind it was that Armstrong planted a camera in Amy's flat and saw Amy and Steve having a fracas. Is that the right word?
That's a great word.
Fracas, thank you. And then was like, oh my God, watching it on the camera going, I need to go and save her. Came round, had to explain to Amy that, oh, I've had a camera watching you the whole time. She didn't like that, so then he killed her.
That is a theory, there we go. And we will hear from Duncan and Greg in a little while about why the evidence was destroyed and tampered with. But it's also important to point out that Andrew mentioned earlier that he was at home ordering a takeaway and watching, what was your favourite film again?
I can't remember what I was watching.
Maybe Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction,
yeah, there we go. And we actually do have evidence, and that is a receipt of your takeaway. So, Kieran, if you would like to bring out that receipt.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's a time on here.
There we go. So could you just read out what the time says?
So the time the takeaway was ordered and paid for was 10:30 p.m.
Ooh. So does that mean that Armstrong isn't guilty, or did he have a takeaway and then go out and kill Amy, and actually he was just like fueling up for it?
Nah, there's no way you'd do that after a big meal. Would you? Couldn't be bothered.
And Armstrong isn't the only one claiming to have had a takeaway that night. So let's go back to P.I. Ellis and Greg, as he has quite a strange explanation as to what he was dumping in the river. Jess?
Right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. The evidence. So basically, Harry has been putting up posters for witnesses, and James has been ripping them down. Now, why has he done that?
Because he believes he's guilty. And he just doesn't want to attract any other possibilities into that mix.
If he wants the real truth to come out, why wouldn't he want any witnesses? I mean, I don't really understand.
I think he thinks he knows the truth, and I think that's why he just doesn't want the waters to be muddy, as I said. He is convinced that Steve is guilty.
A ringtone that was heard at the scene of the crime, does that sound familiar to you? Because I don't think it wasn't Steve's.
Having watched the show, I can tell you that a lot of people have that ringtone. I was shocked. It's a very small village. It's a very popular ringtone.
I don't think that'll stand up in court. I think if Mercedes McQueen heard that ringtone with her beady little ear, yes. I know it's an I, but I just changed it to an ear.
Clever.
Thank you. How could he have been with Harry all night?
As I say, it's a popular ringtone. It's much like the Nokia ringtone in the late 90s.
Okay.
Everyone has it, and so guilt could be placed across the entire village.
Yeah, I mean, James must have a lot of motives within this, because he is really working really hard, and and doing stuff that could lose him his job, no? Or could get him arrested. Tampering with evidence.
That is true. But again, he is doing this for justice to prevail. He believes Steve is guilty.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't wash with me about James anyway. I mean, I see him do lots of crooked things. One of those crooked things is, I mean, James was seen throwing something in the river. Do you want to explain what that was?
I know, he's a terrible litterer. Some fish and chips and just nightmare.
Oh, so nothing else on that? On this river thing?
I know, it looks a bit of a heavy bag. But,
yeah. I would say that you are saying on James's behalf that it's definitely Steve. You don't think it could be anyone else in the mix?
No, I mean,
it's definitely Steve in James's mind.
They've got the right man.
Okay, so some interesting points to discuss there, but first let's have a look at your comments. Natty says Jess is a legend, and a lot of laughing, crying emojis. That makes me sound so old, doesn't it? Laughing, crying emojis. Jenna says Parry's looking fine, he doesn't need to shave. Oh. There we go, a little bit of love. Courtney says, I think James and Armstrong are in it together. Megan says, I think it's either Ryan or Armstrong. Charlotte says Armstrong could have ordered a takeaway online and then be somewhere else.
It doesn't take all night to murder someone.
No.
And Tia says James kept on stuttering. I think it's him. So still mixed responses.
Well, P.I. Ellis got it then because she said, I thought you said that he was with Harry all night, so how did you hear the ringtone if he was with him all night?
Okay, well, let's go back to the posters because Harry obviously put the posters up calling for witnesses. So, Parry, why was James keen to destroy them, do you think?
He just wanted Steve to go down, didn't want anything changing it. So if there were people coming in and saying they saw something else that wasn't Steve doing it, then that's his plan.
Also, if you love Steve so much, if you've gone through his phone to get pictures, why did you choose that picture?
Because it's so nice. Look, it's big smile, everything's having a good time.
Well, I have another question for you. Why did you make the posters in the first place? Because at the time, Steve was admitting to having murdered her. So did he know who her real killer was? And was it maybe Harry?
No, it wasn't maybe Harry. No, Harry just knew that it couldn't be Steve. So he was just clutching at straws to find any way of, him not being guilty.
Or did you feel guilty and that's why you put the posters
No, I did
up?
not feel guilty. I felt guilty that he had to go down for it, but not guilty because of me personally. I felt guilty just I felt bad. He's going to prison, it's not a nice thing.
Kieran, what do you think? I feel like you're biting your tongue.
Well, because I think normally he's a better actor than he's been right now. No, I don't think... Harry confesses that he loves Steve so much that I'd find it very unrealistic that he would be the person that would have done this. I would like to think it's not Harry.
It's obvious, it's not me.
Okay, well, the good thing about the posters is that witnesses came forward. So the next piece of evidence, which Greg and Jess talked about, was the ringtone. I wasn't sure how long that was going to go. So Mercedes McQueen remembers hearing a ringtone outside James Nightingale's flat on the night of the murder. Greg, of course, argued that the ringtone is just very popular. But Kieran, does that mean it was Steve's ringtone?
No, because Steve normally has his phone on silent. And that's why it wasn't his ringtone that night. He's not a very like phony person. He doesn't have Instagram, doesn't have Twitter or anything like that. But he's not got many friends, so not many people ring him. So he doesn't use his phone that much.
And Harry?
Has loads of friends. That's just why he has a funny ringtone. It's like a voice saying, "Oh, you got someone calling you." That kind of thing. Yeah, so it definitely wasn't that. No.
And would it have been Armstrong's
No,
ringtone?
Armstrong definitely has his phone on silent because he's always lurking about. He wouldn't want to get caught, would he? Give the game away.
Like Jess mentioned, either way, the ringtone probably won't stand up in court. So let's move on to the next thing, which don't touch them.
I won't.
It is the trainers. So Steve's trainers were found in a Nightingale sewer. The sewer is a really weird word to look at. I said it and I was like, is that a wrong word?
Sewer,
it is the right
yeah.
sewer. There was blood on them. Obviously that was identified as Amy's blood, and later there is traces of Steve's blood there, but we do know that Steve's blood was planted by James. So, Kieran, was somebody else wearing the trainers, or did Steve kill Amy?
So I can confirm that Steve wore those trainers.
I'm getting nervous that you're going to touch them. I do have some gloves.
Steve wore those trainers to the actual wedding.
Yeah.
And I know because I filmed it. I wore those trainers as I walked back into the flat. But I think Amy was already...
Told you to take a walk.
You're doing it so smoothly.
When I walked back into the flat, I had these trainers on. Now, there was blood on me because I cut my hand, or Steve cut his hand. But there is some blood here. You see that? Oh yeah, you're not supposed to touch it. These trainers have got blood on. All I can say...
It's fine, it's not live, we'll just cut that bit out.
I'm a size 8, so somebody who wore those trainers would have had to have been a size 8. What size are you?
Size are you?
I'm an 8.
He's an 8.
I'm an 8.
And I actually do have information, and I can reveal that Duncan is an 8, and Greg is an 8.
Is an 8.
So I'll let you guys think about that, because, you know, if the glove fits. But let's go back to planting the blood, because do you think it's possible that someone planted Amy's blood as well as Steve's blood? And if so, who do you think would do that?
I think it is possible, because that's what I was saying. Steve had the trainers on when he arrived back at the flat, and I think the murder happened at that point, before that point. So I think the blood would have had to be planted on afterwards. I don't know whether I'm right, I'm just making that up.
Okay, well, let's go back to James planting the blood in the first place, because Greg's explained that James just wanted the right man to be convicted, and he just wanted to hurry up the process, and that's his reason. But why would he represent Steve? I love reading my notes. If that's the plan.
Well, it's confusing, because if he's the one that's trying to set up Steve in the first place, his motive being, I think, he's obsessed with Harry, so that's why he did it. He wanted Steve out the picture so they could get in a loving relationship with this one. But then it's confusing as to why he's represented him in court. Could it be, as Tegan and Ryan say on tonight's Channel 4 episode, that he's trying to set Steve up? So, although he's representing him, it's in a bad way.
I also feel that he might be representing you because Harry has asked him to, and obviously, if you think that James is obsessed with Harry, he's doing it to look good in Harry's eyes.
Oh, well done.
Well, yeah, okay.
So, Ryan had a change of heart about Steve, but he was still complicit in tampering with the evidence. So, what does Duncan have to say to himself? Let's go back to P.I. Ellis and find out.
Okay, the thing that you can't get away from, the actual evidence.
Oh no.
Ryan found Amy's body.
Yeah.
Now, was that through guilt of coming back to the scene of the crime,
Ryan,
or did he actually just find the body? How did he feel at the time?
So Ryan and Mike were in the pub.
Yeah.
They're having a drink. They get back to the flat and discover Amy's death.
Okay, and when you got there, did you ring the police straight away?
Yeah, he's on the phone straight away.
Straight away, 100%.
I didn't ring it. Ryan rang him. Ryan rang the police.
Ryan rang the police.
Ryan rang the police.
I think that's a little bit dodgy about this is that Ryan was heavily involved in planting evidence on Steve with James to frame Steve. Now, if he was an innocent man, why would he be framing someone for the murder of Amy?
Well, I think you'll find that it was James who took Ryan's pass, went into the storeroom with Steve's blood and planted the blood.
But
not
he
Ryan.
was compliant in this, and they were kind of working together. So why?
Yeah.
I mean, did they both do it?
But then Ryan met a girl called Tegan who put his mind straight, and you know the rest is history.
Yeah, she was brilliant.
And he gave her a snog, and he was like, "Do you know what? I need to do the right thing."
Okay. Also, there is another bit of information that really gets my goat and Tegan's.
Really?
So Tegan was told by Lucas that he heard another voice, another man come in, and she spoke to Ryan about it, and then Ryan convinced little Lucas, little child, to lie for him.
Yeah, and it was
now,
terrible.
why was that? Why would he do that if he was innocent?
I think if you remember correctly, Ryan was being blackmailed by James.
Can I just ask, why was Ryan also at the beginning of this, and the reason that he was getting James to hide evidence, why was he so sure that Steve had done it?
I think because he didn't really like Steve. Steve messed. Let's get the facts.
I mean, there's not liking people, and then there's like framing them for murder.
Yeah, but Steve messed up the wedding, and then Ryan and Steve had a whole history of like hating each other.
Yeah, but you still don't frame someone for murder,
and then
do you?
poor Ryan. Let's just think, poor Ryan just married the love of his life. He was on a flight. He was there. He was in his seat. He was drinking his champagne and orange juice with the kids on their flight to America, and Steve comes up and ruins it all.
Can we all just take a moment to say how good Jess Ellis is as a private investigator?
She is incredible.
And we do need to talk about the planting of evidence, because obviously at the moment none of your characters know about it. However, first we have some conspiracy theories and also just some pretty funny comments. So Shannon says, who wears trainers to a wedding?
Yeah, good point.
Scally Steve.
And Maddie has a conspiracy theory that it was the takeaway people calling Armstrong because he wasn't home. That was the ringtone. Jenny says the ringtone made my dog jump. This is a good one. Annette says, I think it's Harry. That's why he's unshaven for the prison scenes that you're currently filming now.
But if you notice,
you're good.
We've all got different looks. I've got different hair. He's got different hair. He's got a beard. So we've all not been in. Ooh.
Okay, so let's go back to planting the evidence. So Ryan did try to get Harry to convince Steve to change his lawyer. Why the sudden change of heart, do you think? You're still just trying to process that question.
Yeah, why Ryan's sudden change of
Ryan
heart?
tried to get Harry to convince Steve to change lawyers.
Yes.
Why?
Yeah, why is Ryan doing that?
Someone else probably came to the picture. So he probably randomly found evidence that someone else could have killed him and went, oh, maybe I was wrong about
So is that saying that Ryan definitely didn't kill Amy?
Well, to be
then?
fair, yeah, because that's a good point on Ryan's side, is the fact that he wants the real killer behind bars. Maybe that's why he's trying to defend Steve. But then, in the end of that VT then, Ryan's kind of setting himself up by saying, he was trying to take the kids to America, blah, blah, blah. We were on the plane to America virtually and Steve stopped it. So he's also got a motive at the same time.
Maybe it's a double thing. If he looks like he's helping out Steve, then they'd be like, oh, he wouldn't be guilty, because otherwise he would just let him go through.
Everybody is too busy in this show getting involved in everyone's business. Let's just have a little look
at your comments, just to see if there's any other evidence that we've missed. So, Mark, unrelated, says, Parry's so handsome. Tammy says, I definitely think it's Armstrong working with Milo.
With Milo?
And, sorry, the comments are coming in so fast that I can't keep up. Courtney says, I think James and Armstrong are in it together. Irina says, I don't think it's Harry or Steve or Armstrong, to be honest. So I'm presuming, therefore, saying it's the other two that aren't here. Right. I'd just like to remind you guys to keep putting your reactions, because we want to know who you think killed Amy Barnes by the end. And it is nearly time for each of our suspects to give their final defence. But first, let's catch up with Jess for our final Heard at Hollyoaks.
Here we go, Harry.
What's that? I'm on? I'm on now? Oh, hi, this is P.I. Ellis reporting for Heard at Hollyoaks. Now I've saved you the best to last. Parry. I've been on this set with him before. And out the corner of my eye, what have I seen? Dig. Picking a bogey. Not only picking a bogey, but twiddling it.
I don't eat it,
in between his fingers. And then a little.
I did not put it.
You heard it here first. Parry, you have to give up.
Let's make one thing clear. I might have been guilty of picking my nose, or it might even just be scratched, but I will never put it in my mouth.
So, oh my God, Harry's so beautiful,
flick.
Harry's so handsome, I love Harry Glasspool, but he eats his bogey.
I do not eat them. They're flicked away. Okay.
Thank you, Jess, for a
thanks,
good
Jess.
Heard at Hollyoaks. But another feature that I've loved is the Domino's #Challenge Armstrong. So every week we have seen if the cast, this is like the tongue twister that always gets me, we've seen if the cast can try to beat your high score and found out, I'm getting confused now, how strong is Armstrong's arm? La 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 la. So let's have a look at the leaderboard.
I can't believe this. 6th. And the only reason for that, might add, is because Rory tickled me and put me off.
All I'm hearing is excuses.
Yeah. Nick Pickard is a legend.
Go on, Dad.
So yeah, you were knocked off the top spot, but we do have one final cast member who wanted to take on Challenge Armstrong. And I've heard that he's actually the biggest pizza lover in Hollyoaks. So let's see how David Kennedy gets on while you guys prepare for a final go at the challenge in the green room.
Yeah, keep your arms straight. And we're off.
Off we go.
We're off.
Hello everyone. It's David Kennedy here, also known as Dirk Savage. Challenge Armstrong. Apparently we've got to keep the boxes up, keep the pizza boxes up.
Keep your arms straight.
All right.
That's it.
All right. These are really heavy because they're full of deep crust filled extra pepperoni, which is my favourite, by the way. I can feel it starting to, that lactic acid
starts to build up.
Starts to kick in.
Yeah.
I'm quite used to holding a lot of pizza.
Normally in there though, isn't it?
Well, all right.
Oh, what is the prize? We got, don't know.
What do you mean, I'm doing this for nothing?
I think so, yeah.
Hang about.
It's easy for him, look.
I told you, I'm used to carrying takeaway.
Yeah.
I'm getting a bit of a sweat on there. So anyway, listen, oh, here we go. Mate, if there's pizza involved, I ain't dropping nothing. I mean, I could be here for another 4 minutes if you want me to, but it's a bit boring now. Right, that's enough.
Well done, mate. Very good.
Thank you very much.
Very, very good.
Thank you.
I'm suitably impressed. That was very good.
Oh dear. I've got a sweat on there.
Well, there we go. It was very, very good, but let's see how David Kennedy does in the leaderboard. Drum roll, exactly. Whoa! So, by 2 seconds, David Kennedy is our Challenge Armstrong pizza. I guess it was those hunky muscles. But the prize is not me, it is a pizza, and that is coming in the post. So, boys, are you ready for your challenge? Oh, you're sounding confident, but I just have to say before they start the challenge, the reactions keep changing between 2 different characters, so keep voting with who you think killed Amy, because it is close and it does keep changing. But first, let's have a look in the green room. So you ready? No, we're not doing it like that this time, because it's the trial week, so we're actually going to change it up, because it doesn't matter how strong Armstrong's arms are, we need you to be headstrong. So therefore, I would like you to each take 3 boxes and balance them on your heads. I'll start the clock, and the last one to drop the boxes wins.
Okay. I have a very large head, so if I don't win, I'll be very
3, 2, 1, go!
Out. Yes! Who's that? You!
Okay, so Parry is the winner by a smidge. But enough funny business. The fans are still voting using our Facebook reactions on who they think is guilty, and you have one final attempt at convincing them it's not your character. And like I said, guys, it is so close. It keeps changing between 2 people. So keep your votes coming in, and let's see if this final attempt makes a difference. So, boys, you will each have 30 seconds to plead your case, and I want you to direct it straight down the camera lens at your fans, the jury. So, Parry, I would like you to go first.
Set the timer. Okay, look, I don't need 30 seconds to tell you it wasn't me. You know Harry, I'm the nice guy. I was the guy that came in, helped everyone out. I stopped the bullies. I do not kill. That's my one, well, that's one of my rules. I do not kill. I'm like Batman. You know me. Harry, that's it. I'm not the killer. Look at me. Innocent. What should we do for the rest of the...
You'd have to dance for the last 30 until the end of time.
Wasn't me.
Well, there we go. Parry thinks he doesn't even need 30 seconds to convince you, but let's have a little look at Duncan.
Well, listen, I've heard the evidence.
Yeah.
I've heard your shoddy alibi. I've heard lots of information. And now you have 30 seconds to tell the fans why it is not you.
Right, so first of all, let me tell you, Ryan absolutely adored Amy. He was so in love with her. He loved them kids. They were part of his own family, even though they weren't his. He wanted to give them a really good life in America. He'd booked the tickets. He was really excited to be starting a new life. He'd got a new job away from Hollyoaks because he knew that anybody who stays in Hollyoaks ends up getting killed or dead or something horrible happens. So he was determined to get away, and that's what he was doing. He loved her so much, and he would never put his fingers and harm his wife because he's a good person.
30 seconds done.
There we go. So next up is Andrew. Ready?
Okay guys, listen, I know Armstrong has these mummy issues, he has a history of violence, he pushed Zach down the stairs, that was a bad move on his part. He also has a history of stalking blonde women, but he's not a murderer. He's a misunderstood guy who just needs a bit of a cuddle and everything will be fine. He did not kill Amy Barnes, I'm telling you, okay?
Well, he might not have a strong arm, but does he have a strong case? Thank you. Next up, it is Greg.
Right, Greg, I've heard everything, evidence, alibis, questions. Now you have 30 seconds to tell the fans why James is innocent.
Let's go. You guys all know what a great guy James is. He may do some dodgy things from time to time, but his heart is pure. He has an alibi. He absolutely believes in Steve's guilt. He's done nothing wrong apart from care about a young lad whose life's been thrown away by a junkie, and he wants to see him banged up for life. It's not James, I promise, honestly. Look at me.
Would you trust that face? And last but not least, it is Kieran.
Timer. So, an innocent man does not need to plead his innocence. I have been in prison now since March time. I've been watching Love Island, so I had some new hair. I am going to be released because I am a free man. He loved Amy Barnes to death, but not to death in the fact that I want you dead, Amy Barnes. He loved her like he loves his sisters, Tegan and Leela, and Perry the niece, like he loves Harry. If it was to be the end of Steve, that would be the end of Starry.
So that is it. Your fate is sealed and you guys have only one last chance to vote for who you think killed Amy Barnes. So before we find out who you think the killer is, let's have a sneak peek at next week's episode while you guys join me back in here for the verdict.
Ready? Time to start fighting this, proving your innocence. James thinks I shouldn't take to the stand because they'll tear me apart. Really? What's he doing here?
Got my letters then?
I'm not here for you.
Ryan, surprisingly enough, I've had a lot of time to think about things in here. Especially you.
Keep your mouth shut. Don't you dare blow this for me. Harry, swap places.
No.
Look, I've got information that could get him off. Move.
What's all this about?
It's James. He's stitching you up.
That, but guys, you have been voting and you can no longer vote because the person you believe who is Amy's killer. I'm really enjoying this moment. So, may I just say that it was Armstrong.
Yeah.
However, it is just changed and the person you believe who has killed Amy is James! But of course you will have to wait. I had my handcuffs ready to arrest one of you, but we don't need them now. We'll save them for James. But you will have to wait until next week, of course, to find out who the real killer is. So let me get the right page. Make sure you tune in this Friday, the 1st of September on E4 because that is when the hashtag Who Killed Amy trial.
Can we just say, From filming it, it is an epic week of Hollyoaks, and there's, like the story's had already, so many twists and turns, and there's other shockers to come, not just about finding out who the killer is. There's more things that happen that's going to get everybody tweeting.
Well, there we go. But guys, on a slightly sadder note, it is the end of summer, which also means that there is no more Hollyoaks Slice of Summers.
Slice of winter! Slice of winter!
And round of applause for Ashley as well.
Of Secrets has been amazing, and this of course has been brought to you by Domino's. We are enjoying our Hollyoaks Hunger Busters. I'm actually so hungry, so I definitely need this right now. So while you guys tuck into your Hollyoaks Hunger Busters, let's have a look, you could say feast your eyes on some of our best bits. So goodbye! Welcome to week 1, week 2, 3, 4 of Hollyoaks Slice of Summer Live, brought to you by Domino's.
Back to the studio.
You're on my list, Ashley. And you don't want to be on that list.
If you had to win a woman back, what romantic gesture would you do?
I absolutely have no game whatsoever. Right?
You had it here first.
Roses are red and violets are blue. Forget that cardboard cutout and let me show you what I can do.
Light the candle. Light the candle. Because this 101 gonna be off the handle.
And it's gonna be a scandal. It's gonna be scandalous. The stuff that we have.
Hey, Harry, what are you doing? You sound aggressive. You sound really aggressive right now.
Hip hop. You okay?
Yeah.
Every week we spill the beans. What? On one of the actors.
Well, I've got a good bit of gossip for you about Tamara Wall. So she does most of our scenes barefoot.
A little present for you. It is called the How Strong is Armstrong's Arm Challenge.
Hi guys! Anyway, listen, oh, here we go.
Hello, Pinky.
You are so desperate. Getting a bit heavy now.
That arm is wobbly.
God, I'm really tickly.
This brings back memories. What?
Yes!
It's over.
We have got two of Hollyoaks' biggest fans getting married here on the Hollyoaks set.
I, Joel Dexter, by the fictional powers vested in me, hereby pronounce you husband and wife. You may now kiss the bride.
Again, Ming Ming. Guys, thank you for getting involved. Thanks for all the likes, all the hearts, all the comments. And don't forget to watch Hollyoaks tonight. And